But before I even get into that, what I want to talk about is what we really came here to learn about. The thing that's motivating us best is getting rid of disease. We don't want disease. We want to avoid disease. And I have found it's not disease we really don't like. It's the pain that comes along with the disease that we don't like. Because people get attached to their diseases. I know, I was one of them. We get emotionally attached to it. We get special attention we never got before. We get special parking spaces we were never allowed to have before. It's the pain that goes along with the disease that we really don't want. So people want to get rid of their diseases and so on. I've learned from my doctor the power of opposites, where, you know, she tells me to do one thing and the opposite actually works. I'll give you an example. My doctor told me, I remember when I first went to her, she said, you're going to have to clean out. We're going to have to do a test to see what's wrong with you. I said, I already know what's wrong with me. My stomach's messed up. And instead of telling me about diet, she says, you're going to have to do a test. You're going to have to clean out. I said, well, what am I going to have to do? She says, first you're going to have to fast, and then you're going to have to, I said, I'm not into that juices, and I didn't like those fruits and vegetables and everything else. She goes, no. According to a doctor, a fast is not, juice fast is not fruits and vegetables. It's coffee, tea, and Jell-O, and ice cream, and all this. And I was like, this is insane, but that's what a fast is according to a doctor. Then she told me, I'll never forget, she said, you're going to have to drink this. And it was a big bottle, like a gallon size, and with a little powder in the bottom. She says, fill this up with water and drink it, and you'll be cleaned out. Not only did this drink clean me out, but it cleaned probably every pipe in my bathroom out. But the funny thing about the drink was it was probably the most deceptive name for a drink ever in the history of drinks. It was called Go Lightly. A more appropriate name for this would have been Fire in the Hole. but it was insane. So I said, okay, the doctor taught me the power of opposites, and I want to teach people about health. But to teach people about health, what I'm going to do is teach people the opposite of health. And that's what we're going to learn tonight. We're going to learn what disease is, how to avoid it, and so on. I'll never forget when I first went to Hippocrates, I was such a negative thinker. And I get down there, and I see this lady in a wheelchair right in front of there. And I'm like, this place can't be too good. This lady's in a wheelchair. And that's how much I was negative thinking. And then I went back there 3 weeks later, and I saw the same lady. There was that same lady where she had a twin sister jogging right in front of the place. And I'm like, this place was so bad it made her get up and run out of here. Still thinking negative. But then I realized that this works. So I started doing it and so on. And I'm going to teach you tonight about disease and what it is. So once we know what it is, then we can learn what true health is and so on. So disease is what? Disease is another word for discomfort. That's all it is. It's not a bad thing. It's another word for discomfort. It's an alarm system of our body to tell us something is wrong. We're doing something wrong and we need to wake up. That's what it is. Now, the problem is, if you hear an alarm going on and you ignore it, eventually you won't hear it anymore, even though it continues to go on. And this is what's happened to many people today. The alarm's going on, but the body adapts to its environment, its diet, quicker than any other thing in any other species on the planet. So our bodies have adapted to our toxic environments, our bodies have adapted to our toxic diets and so on, and we keep putting all these poisons in, and we no longer hear that alarm. What there is there's only one disease in the world, and that disease is one disease with many different stages. It's called toxemia, with many different stages. The final stage of disease is cancer, heart disease, strokes, and so on. But nobody wakes up one day with the final stages of disease without ever not experiencing the beginning stage of disease. What they do is they miss the signs of the beginning stage of disease, and it keeps coming back worse and worse and worse. But even if you're at the final stage of disease, I can tell you there's no medical test, there's no doctor out there in the world that could tell you when your body doesn't have enough power to reverse the damage that was done if you don't start eliminating what caused the problem. There's no way to tell. So what that means is you never give up no matter what anyone says. I see people come to Hippocrates Health Institute all the time, and they've been given a death sentence by their doctors, and they start eliminating the things that the doctors told them to do, and they start changing their lifestyle around, and they get cured from all things like cancer, arthritis, AIDS, everything. They completely turn around and they start getting better. So we should never give up. Somebody came to me once and said, Paul, my doctor told me I only have 3 months to live. What should I do? I said, you better find another doctor. Because the only thing that doctor to determine you have 3 months is every person that doctor has treated with that illness has only survived 3 months. That's not a very good track record. You want to go to a doctor that says you have 70, 80 years, not 3 months. We have to understand, we have to pay attention. I believe if we pay attention to the beginning signs of disease, we don't have to worry about the end stages of disease. The beginning signs of disease. Now the next question is, how do we even know we have a disease? And this is where it gets dangerous. Two of the most dangerous words in English language, people say, I feel. Well, since we can't hear our alarm system, if we're waiting to how we feel, chances are we don't know how we have disease until we're in the later stages of it. We can't just go by how we feel, because the cleaner the body is, the more sensitive it becomes to toxic things, but the more toxic it is, we don't feel when we're doing things that aren't good for us. For example, when I was a kid growing up, I could eat a whole gallon of ice cream and not feel sick, even though I was doing a lot of bad for my body. Now I can take 1 tablespoon of an ice cream and feel sick. It's not that my body's weaker, it's that the alarm is working and immediately it'll react. But most people's bodies aren't able to react immediately. So there has to be something else to show us we have an issue. And there are. I've traveled all over this world and I find 2 common signs to show us when something is wrong. The beginning stages of disease. And most people are deceived because it's so common in this world that people don't realize that the beginning stages of disease. The beginning stages of disease are these 2 things: laziness and constipation. Laziness and constipation are the beginning signs of disease. As a matter of fact, I know people that are so lazy, they're happy they're constipated so they don't got to get up and go to the bathroom. That's how bad it's come in today's world. Now, some people try to deny that, but I don't listen to people that are full of something. So we have to understand these are the beginning signs of disease. Now we know what disease is. We know how to identify it. We know what the beginning signs are. Now the question on everyone's mind should be, what causes disease? What causes disease? Now there's many different causes. There's emotional causes, there's physical causes, and there's spiritual causes. And most people today are only dealing with 1 or 2 of those. They're not dealing with all of them. I have found out we must deal with the root cause of all disease if we want to be completely cured. So we have to understand that. I have a lecture that I did this afternoon, and that, you know, if you want to stay out till 2 in the morning, I'll do it tonight. I'd love to. It's Health According to the Scriptures, based on my book about the spiritual causes of disease. And the real key is, the main disease is not being satisfied with what we have. You know, our Creator gives us everything we need, but if we don't have everything we want, we're not satisfied with it, and then we get into this depression, and then we start eating, emotionally eating, and then we cause a bigger problem physically. So not being satisfied is the real cause of all disease. You see, no matter how much money people have, no matter how much food people have, people are just never satisfied. And that goes completely against the message of Scripture. The message of Scripture says, be satisfied with what He gives you, and He'll bless you with even more. He'll bless you what He knows you need, not what you think you want. So we have to understand that, and then we can start experiencing the joy that He gives us. And when we have that joy, we don't have to worry about all the anxiety, the fear, and the hate, and all these other things that contribute to overeating and create more illnesses and so on. So we have to make sure all our bases are covered, not just we're eating a good diet. So the 2 causes of disease from a physical standpoint now are these 2: overeating and undersleeping. Overeating and undersleeping are the 2 major causes of disease from a physical standpoint. And most people are suffering from these 2 things, because if you're overeating, you're undersleeping, because you can't do one without doing the other. Because the more you eat, the more your body has to work to process the food. And the more the body has to work, the more rest and sleep you require. And during that sleep, that's where your body's healing and cleansing and so on. But if you cut that sleep short, you're cutting your healing time short. And that's what people do every day. People say, Paul, what are we supposed to do? Quit our job in the same bed all day? No, find out why you require so much food to begin with. And the reason why is because we're eating low-quality food. When you eat low-quality food, guess what? Even though you're taking in food, you're not giving your body the nutrients it needs. So you're going to require, your body's going to crave more food. And then we get in this habit of overeating.